What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to another Epic 7 video. Today we're going to do our honest review of Abigail, who I had the pleasure of playtesting today. The summons didn't go too hot, but we'll talk about that here in just a second. And please, guys, I'll go ahead and tell you right now that I think she's a very strong unit, especially in real-time arena. But some of y'all, especially those of you that are free to play, need to skip this unit at all costs, and I'll cover that why at the end. So make sure you stay tuned for the full video. But we'll go through all our honest review stuff, boys. Talk about the skill enhancements, the different builds, because there's a lot of different builds that you can do depending on your playstyle, as well as artifact selection, because she's a utility unit. But we'll cover all the good stuff. Thank you for tuning in, and let's get to it. Alrighty, y'all, you already know what I'm going to ask. If I convince you to pull Abigail by the end of this video, or let's say you pulled already, let me know how your summon luck went. Just don't forget, guys, you free-to-plays out there might need a skip if you haven't already pulled. Stay tuned till the end of the video. But I pretty much went full pity. I have been very lucky on my summons recently, so I'm not complaining. But I did get an off-banner artifact on the way there, and I'm so frustrated with it at this point. I hope Smilegate will somehow give us better artifact chances. Maybe they'll only do it on limited banners, but it'd be nice if we just never get, anytime we get a 5-star artifact, it's the one on the banner. Let me know how your summon luck goes. I hope it's better than mine. And I am additionally summoning more because I do need the crit chance imprint, which we'll talk about right now. Okay, so here's where the build I ended up just for now. Like I mentioned, I will be pulling extra copies to max out the crit chance imprint. But let me just say this right now, guys. I'll talk more on my build here specifically, but the build I tested for the majority of the gameplay you might be watching in this video was a bare bones build. Almost no skill enhancements, and on top of that, I didn't have any crit chance, crit damage, effectiveness, or effect resist. I just even went with more bulk, and I think that's extremely fine. So the good news is this unit can work super bare bones, very, very minimum investment, as long as you use her more niche. Now, those of you that want to invest more, I think it is worth it in some scenarios if you plan to use her a lot, but I just wanted to get that out there, that those of you that don't want to invest in this unit too much, she can be extremely effective with very, very low investment on imprints, and you can just pretty much ignore damage overall. And at least for now, at least day one testing, she feels very powerful, even with no damage, no Molas, and no damage artifact on top of that too. But let me talk about my build here. With those crit chance imprints, I think having damage is nice. You do actually end up, if you play more standard bruiser style, you will actually press a lot of S1s, and then having that extra injury on the skill 3 is obviously nice to have. If you have any other buffs for her too, she can kind of hit deceptively hard if you have nice, health scaling on top of maybe some crit and crit damage. But don't go too crazy on that, guys. Even when you're trying to squeeze out some damage, make sure you're not neglecting the bulk, because she will be focused, and that's one of her biggest strengths. She kind of has like a indirect provoke where your opponent doesn't have to hit her, but they're going to want to, because the unit that she's protecting, they're going to have to deal with a lot of immortality, vampirism, effectively a second life that could just be very, very hard to deal with until they deal with Abigail herself. So she will get focused down in a lot of comps, and so you want to make sure that your first priority is the bulk. Now let me talk about the second priority, and that's going to be speed here, guys. This could potentially be first, but just understand you want both bulk and speed. Now the speed tuning is very simple. Essentially, since she has both a full strip and a curse effect, just make sure she's faster than your DPS typically, like at least 10 speed faster. That way she'll set up curses so you can get some extra damage. And on top of that, if you ever need to get that full strip before your DPS go, she's set up in prime position. Plus, the faster she goes, the more annoying she'll be. Cycling isn't really her strong suit, but speed set, since she doesn't really need too much else, I think speed set is very nice and will easily get you into those 220, 230, 240 ranges, whatever you guys find is your sweet spot. Now, I opted for immunity, but I really don't think that's necessary as well. Same thing with effect resist. I'm an effect resist player, and I didn't really find myself wanting it. I might test it later since I play a lot of Maid Chloe, and it could be kind of just nice to have. But overall, I don't think it's mandatory, because you're more worried about your backline unit. So just make sure your backline unit isn't susceptible to getting like unbuffable, because then of course we're not going to be able to protect them as well with the immortality and vampirism. And Abigail, if she's getting like focused down with debuffs, then that's kind of nice, because if it's not AoE, then it's drawing attention away from the rest of your squad. And unless you absolutely needed that like full strip, like I said, the injury is not too impactful, then we're not really too worried if they're focusing her with a lot of debuffs and damage. That's kind of her goal. Now, I went for Samsara Praeries near the end because I think it's just nice to have. I actually think this is way better than her artifact, her own artifact, which we're going to cover at the end or during the artifact selection talk. I don't think her artifact's good for her, but this one is just nice if you happen to have it. Otherwise, slap on a damage mitigation artifact, and if you want to do that bare bones build, go for that. But we'll talk more on that when we move to the artifact selection. Now, one last thing on builds. Like I said, if you want to go bare minimum, just make sure he has bulk, speed tune it to where you like, where she's setting up the full strips or the curses for the rest of your squad. And last but not least, if you do play a little more aggressive, because she has a full strip, you might want to have some effectiveness if you're really relying on that. If you're more damage oriented and you still want to run Abigail as maybe like a pseudo anchor, sort of like utility to protect your backline units, then I think having that strip can be very, very nice. And on top of that, you will also make sure that your curses are landing nonstop, because getting a curse resisted could be a little bit annoying. If you're pumping out the damage, you need to make sure you kill those units. But overall, I think gearing wise, it's very, very easy. Decide if you have enough gear to make a bruiser. If you want to keep her low investment, like 0 molas, then I honestly think she's fine dropping all your damage and using her pure utility. If you want to get the best of all worlds, you're going to want to invest more skill enhancements, have her on a nice high-level artifact, and on top of that, probably have some imprints too, because she is hungry for stats the more you go for some damage on top of that. But ultimately, guys, I think Abigail worked so well, at least on day 1 testing. Who knows how it'll end up, but she really feels strong out of the box, and a lot of people share the same sentiment. I think if you have extra bookmarks and you like this style of unit, design-wise, she's amazing, right, guys? I do think she's worth picking up a copy because her artifact is strong as well. So let's segue into the skill enhancement. Quick talk on that, and then artifact selection. All right, guys, skill enhancement talk. If you want to go the bare bones build, 0 investment, just keep her at +0 everything. Trust me, it'll be just fine. She essentially doesn't need any of these to operate. Her whole kit is already built in, and even more so if you're going the 0 damage bare bones build, then just save everything. It's just going to feel nice, and then later on, if you want to invest more into her, let's say you decide she's actually more usable in certain matchups that you like, then you can invest more. But if you're on the fence, on not sure how much you're going to use her, start her off on 0 damage build with 0 skill enhancements, and she's so nice, you know, without any investment at all. Now, the more you want to invest, guys, if you're going to go like me, get some imprints, put her on like damage artifacts, I'm probably just gonna +15 her. Honestly, the skill 2, it's a toss-up on what you guys like to combo with your Abigails, and this is gonna be, you know, depending on how you draft, a lot of times that carry unit that you're protecting or whatever you're putting in the back line, it's gonna depend how often you'll get a reset on Blood Banquet. But for the most part, the difference between 4 turns and 5 turns is probably not too impactful. Usually you'll only get 1 Blood Banquet proc per match, but if you play very tanky like myself, then it's, you know, I have seen it proc more than once, and I've heard people also have it proc more than once, so it's not a bad investment. It's just not needed at all. Skill 1, guys, this just does pure damage. She has no really debuffs or anything like that, so only max this out if you plan to build her on some damage. Otherwise, save everything and keep her as a low investment cost but effective unit. All right, let's talk artifacts. So Samsara Prayer Beads, I think, gives you the best of both worlds, but if you play more aggressive, I've heard some people try Comet out. It gives you free stats in the crit chance, and if you're planning to land those kills with the rest of your units, you know, having some extra cycling or combat readiness can be very, very nice on top of that. I have seen some people test Champions Trophy. You get more utility, you get some free effectiveness to land those full strips, those curses, and you have that insane chance to stun on your skill 1s, excuse me. Beyond that, guys, ultimately, you just want to decide if you're going for the bare bones, pure mitigation build, which case slap on something like Proof of Valor, Samsara Prayer Beads. If you don't want to use Proof of Valor here because it's on a more important unit, you can use a more budget artifact like Sepulchrum, in my opinion. And the main other artifact that I saw people rocking was Durandal, because, you know, it's just she is going to get focused. More combat readiness is always nice. I'm not too sold on it, though, because Abigail's actual turns after her full strip aren't that impactful, so her cycling abilities or his turns isn't too great, at least how I see it right now. But overall, just slap on anything utility or mitigation, and I think you'll be fine. I think her build is so versatile, it's really up to your own personal preference. Last 2 things on the agenda, guys. I first want to talk about Golden Rose and why I don't think it's great on her, and that's simply because she doesn't do a lot of damage. So even though she will be getting the effect of more damage, which is nice, I think Samsara Prayer Beads takes the cake because it'll give you straight damage reduction. And this one, her life steal or her life absorption, she doesn't do a ton of damage even if you're on the damage build. So I just don't think the 30%, if you're even at +30, is worth it. Now that's where I want to talk about here, guys. A lot of y'all will not be getting this artifact to +30 off the bat unless you're lucky enough to grab 6 copies somehow, which unless you are a giga whale, you're probably not, you don't even need to watch this video. Most of y'all watching, 99% of y'all aren't going to have +6 copies of this unless you're insanely lucky. So overall, it's not really good for Abigail, but let me talk about why I think a lot of y'all might want to pick up a copy or 2. That's just because compared to Sigurd's Scythe, if your warrior is not attack scaling, let me give an example here, guys. Someone like Edward, who has my Sigurd Scythe, I have a few +30s here. Edward is not an attack scaling unit, so I think he will benefit a little more from Golden Rose. He'll get damage even above 50%, where unlike on Sigurd Scythe, he won't get that attack boost until he drops below 50. On top of that, like I said, Edward's HP scaling, so the attack boost isn't as effective on him compared to an attack scaling unit. That being said, guys, if you are comparing a plus 15 Golden Rose to a plus 30 Sigurd Scythe, for me, even until I get a matching level plus 30 Golden Rose, I'm not swapping out the Sigurd Scythe even on a non-attack scaling unit like Edward, and that's because the 50% life absorption is so important. And remember, Golden Rose at max is only 30%. So some of y'all might even stay on the Sigurd Scythe even when you have a maxed out Golden Rose because you value that life or that health absorption more, the 50% compared to the 30. So just make sure you balance it. And a lot of the thing is, guys, is just simply you won't have a maxed out Golden Rose for quite a while. It's not limited, so you'll be able to pick up more copies via random summons, via powder shot pulls. But do not waste your bottles on this unless you are a Giggle Whale, okay? And that's why I want to prioritize or say that unless you plus 30 this, and you shouldn't bottle it because it's not limited, you're probably not going to want to use this at least for a little while. Just understand it's a very good artifact moving forward. Last thing I want to mention is if you are free to play and don't have a ton of bookmarks saved up or aren't completely sold on Abigail, you need to skip this unit. Mainly because she's not limited, and just around the corner, guys, summer's coming up, so expect Summer Lulika, maybe like a Summer Charlotte rerun if you haven't picked her up as well. And on top of that, remember, guys, we saw some Jacko buffs on the buff patch preview, so a lot of players are predicting we might get a Guilty Gear collab rerun on top of that. So you need to start saving right now. Remember my old video where someone was kind of upset that I kept telling everyone to pull everything? Well, this is where I'm forewarning y'all that limiteds are coming here very soon, so you need to pick and choose who you pull. And even if Abigail is very nice, the fact that she's not limited, not really a must-have, even though I really enjoy her. You're going to want to make sure you pull those limited characters and limited artifacts. The next one upcoming for sure is the Summer Lulika. All right, guys, so we'll wrap it up there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck on your pulls if you are able to pull for Abigail. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out, guys.